Hey everybody, it's Corey from thougsoldiers. So today I wanted to do a video on a lightworker's guide to practical alchemy, as far as in regards to anything we face in life, whether it be good or bad, focusing more on trauma and triggers, because this is something that I've been working through for a very long time on how to alchemize trauma and currently learning more on how to alchemize triggers because it's something that happens when we are waking up. If you've stepped into the role of being a light worker, you will trigger people, people will trigger you. And how can we alchemize this entire experience and not let it turn into a sense of attack, but more of putting us into a state of empowerment? And this is something I've been talking about recently with the attacks that have been happening, and just all these things going on. So, in regards to trauma, this one's always a tough one to go into because I recognize that there is some traumatic experiences that people have had that are extremely unfortunate. Don't get me wrong, extremely unfortunate. And it's very hard to look at it from a sense of empowerment with certain situations. But there's always in the way of this life, we have to recognize that these tests and these things that pop into our existence happen for a reason. And basically, when we look at the concept of alchemy, it's just turning lead into gold, turning a negative into a positive. It is reframing the entire situation from a different perspective. So if we look at, the idea that there are three sides to every story, there's one person's side, another person's side, and then the truth. A lot of our childhood stuff that we've encountered over, you know, over throughout our childhood and even into our adult life or early adult life, wherever you're at in your life, all of this stuff happened in order to teach us an important lesson, a very important lesson. And also, too, when we look at programming, if we look at the understanding of if we're coming from a level of trauma that is not natural disaster, but more what I would say man-made, so a human attack, child abuse, physical abuse, things like that. We have to recognize that this person that had this deed onto us, that did this thing to us, was doing it from a spot of that's the only way they knew how to handle this situation. They were doing the best that they could for that given time frame with the programming that they had running in their life. So let's look at it like this. If I have, in a little bit of analogy, so if I'm really good at pre-algebra, okay, and someone says, right now you need to teach me calculus, my limited perspective on calculus is going to try my best in order to teach this to someone or to help them in that way. But because of my programming, since I've only got pre-algebra and I don't understand calculus, does that, we have to put it in the framework, would that make me a bad person that I'm trying to teach calculus to this person but I don't fully understand because I'm not there yet? Or I haven't gotten there, or that's not my strength on my journey. That's how we kind of have to look at it. And I know it sounds weird, but this is just the kind of framework to put it in. So if someone, when it comes to breaking cycles and patterns that we are doing right now with the clearing and the shadow work and the level of understanding of healing our traumas and things of that nature, we have to look at, hurt people hurt people. People that were abused know how to abuse. People that are in great emotional distress, and that was the way love was projected to them as a child, and they kept that programming and that belief system going, that's the only way they know how to show love in that sense. Because we mimic the behavior of our family. We mimic the behavior of our environment. That is how we learn. Especially when it comes down to the programming and the things that we faced. What's going on now is that these cycles of this pattern-like behavior of unhealthy coping mechanisms, unhealthy ways of being able to treat people, so on and so forth. That is a lot of why this stuff is happening, because we were on a destructive path as far as society is concerned. And there had to be a polar shift. There had to be a shift in the energy, in the way we treated other individuals and the way we treat ourselves as well, in order to change the course of history as it was going on. So, for instance, for me, I know that when I started to dive in through shadow work into my childhood trauma, and once again, when it comes down to trauma, everyone, if you are alive right now, you have experienced trauma in one form or another. People will experience it in greater and lesser degrees. So, one person's trauma may be losing a childhood pet, while another person's trauma might be being bullied. Another person's trauma might be watching their best friend get murdered. It's different for every individual. But we have to look at not making comparisons to other people's trauma, but validating what our trauma was. Exactly. So, for instance, for me, I have to look at interactions with my family. And a lot of the way that I internalized memory and internalized these imprints of belief systems when it comes down to the traumatic memory, it's a very limited scope, because at that time I wasn't in an outside perspective, nor was I in another person's shoes to know what their true intention was with what was going on. So what is going to kind of change this outlook of the trauma is recognizing that I could have been seeing things from a very limited perspective. So, for instance, have you ever had a situation where someone comes up and is for instance, me and my guy friends, we mess around with each other all the time. We'll talk crap to each other in a joking and loving way. But if I'm in an on guard, low vibe mood, or I'm feeling fragile and vulnerable, if someone comes up with that kind of that behavior in order to just joke around, which is something normal for me, my already low vibe, vulnerable state will take it as an attack. And thus, I will be put on guard and kind of hold that in my body as a form of a what I would call a negative experience. Now, the intention of the individual was to have fun, to love, and to interact in the way that I normally interact with people when I'm in a high vibe state. But because of my emotional conditioning, what happened that day, my viewpoint, which is my perspective, I now look at this experience from an entirely different angle. Because this is what we have to do with some traumas. Okay, so I'm saying some traumas, not all traumas. But so for instance, if there is an interaction with family where family was doing something for let me put a good example here. So when I was in the height of my my drug addiction, my parents, for the sake of saving not only my life, but to save their sanity and their happiness, they had to put up healthy boundaries and, do things like kick me out of the house, no contact with me, and let me spin out of control. From my perspective, in that state of vulnerability, isolation, unsurety, complete dissociation with reality, I saw it as my family doesn't love me, they're attacking me. I'm in the most vulnerable state of my life, and they're screwing everything up for me. I need help, and they're not helping me. Well, that was a limited perspective, but if we zoom out, higher perspective on this, they were doing it from a spot of love. They loved me enough to know that they could no longer co-sign my behavior, and they had to set up healthy boundaries not only for the rest of the family, but for the relationship themselves and for the neighborhood, because of the way I was acting and the way I was acting, the way I was treating them was unhealthy, and it was breaking up their relationship. Their mental health was deteriorating as a direct result of it because of my behavior. Now, once again, my limited perspective at that time took this all as an attack. But once I started to heal and really reflect through shadow work and through journaling, I was able to then see that it was coming from a spot of love, which helped to reframe the entire experience, and now I can show gratitude for that experience. And this is really important. This is where shadow work and really zooming out and taking a perspective on things is key. Because in that moment, it felt like an attack. It felt like the entire world was crumbling. But the way that the human mind works is we learn going forward, and once we get to the end of the lesson, we understand backwards. So when I'm in the thick of it, it feels like an attack. But now that I'm out of that situation, I'm removed from that situation, time has progressed as well with the level of healing and understanding. I can reflect back and see where that low moment in history brought me to the greatest heights of my life. And that's how we alchemize it. And sometimes it takes time for those things to happen. It takes time for those wounds to heal. And one of my favorite quotes is, "You cannot heal in the same environment that got you sick." And it's so true. So this is another thing too. If you're trying to heal traumas from certain individuals, and you keep encountering this person on a day-to-day basis, they may keep reopening that wound. And so for me, I had to, at a certain level, when I'm healing, especially when it comes to familial stuff and relationship stuff, I have to take a step back and make space for those wounds to heal, and then approach it from a new set of eyes. And so that's something that really helped me. Unfortunately, the circumstances all the time can't be that you can just remove yourself from a situation because of where we are at. And so it's definitely one thing that helped me. And it's not coming from a spot of running away. It's from literally giving myself ample time to heal. So if I look at, if I cut my arm open, okay, and I don't cleanse and dress the wound and bandage it properly, if I don't put my body in the correct conditions in order for that to heal, the wound is going to get worse and worse and worse. And we have to look at healing our pain, traumas, things like that, in order to alchemize the experience and to see it from a higher perspective. We have to make sure that our environment is in ample conditions in order to heal. So just like, because we can heal, I mean, there's so much research coming out now, and this the new energy healing modalities are popping forth in the mainstream. We've got the Heal documentary on Netflix that go to show that it is extremely possible. There's scientific research that shows that our body can regenerate. Well, so can our energy body, and so can our emotional body as well, as long as we put it in the right conditions in order to heal. And so sometimes having to step out of an environment in order to cleanse and to heal those aspects is what is necessary. Excuse me. And this also comes down to as well when we're getting triggered. And this is another alchemizing experience too that I've been going through recently. So, I've had people that have triggered the crap out of me on my awakening journey. And right now, well, it's healing now, it's getting better. But me and my partner, for the past, since the full moon, have been we've been triggering each other. She started triggering me a little while back. I went through it because I was recognizing what was going on. And then I triggered her into a level of depth and clearing. And she actually posted a video about this the other day. And this is why I kind of wanted to flow about it a little bit in the video. And I'm also going to, when things settle a little bit between us, which they're settling right now, I'm actually going to pull her on a podcast, and we're going to do a podcast about triggers, because I really want to go in topic with this. It was so cool. But she had a very interesting perspective, which is something I realized but never integrated and accepted into a part of my reality, is that at a soul level, every person that comes up and triggers you, you asked that individual to trigger you. Because we can look at a trigger like this. This trigger comes up, this person says something to you, or they say something, and it basically will evoke a response, an old response to a situation. So now we're pulling up that code and able to see that it is no longer in alignment with the high vibrational set point that we're trying to reach. And so it's saying this needs to be removed. This emotion is held in the body. Or my belief is this energy is held in the body. It will come up as an emotion, but it is held within the body. And it comes to the surface because it's basically saying this needs to be clear. It's a highlight that this belief system can no longer run in the paradigm in which we are choosing to shift into. And the people that come forward and trigger us at a soul level, if you believe this in soul contracts, we asked these individuals to come forward and to trigger us, because we wanted family and we wanted close people in our soul group to come forward and to show us what we needed in order to achieve everything we wanted to achieve on this journey in this plane of existence. And so what Samantha had said to do is like, and this is what she did with me, and it was kind of tripped me out, was I could tell she got triggered, and she's like, no, keep doing it, come on, let's do this. And I'm like, babe, let's put the dukes down. I'm not meaning to trigger you. I don't want to trigger you. But at a soul level, it was perfect time, because we can hold space for each other to go through that level of clearing and that level of depth, and create space for those wounds to heal and to come back and to honor the individual for letting them come forward and showing us what is still sitting in the murky waters of our soul as we are clearing up and reaching this level of clarity, holding more light, activating our crystalline light body. And as these new codes are coming down, and we're creating space for these new codes to envelop our system in order to shine to our maximum potential, people are going to come forward and they're going to trigger you. And what's difficult is sometimes it's the closest relationships to you and the most valuable love you have in your life that will be giving you those triggers. And it's because, if a stranger were to come up and trigger you, which strangers still trigger me all the time, it just happens. But if a stranger were to come up and trigger you, it would probably engage more of a deep emotional response that could lead into something not so favorable. Especially being a masculine, it will definitely invoke a fight response if it's that level of triggering. Also, too, when it comes down to relationship triggers and alchemizing this experience, recognize, too, that the feminine can always come in and touch a part of the masculine soul that another masculine couldn't do. So, a masculine can trigger another masculine. Don't get me wrong, it can happen. As far as, I believe we both harness the masculine and feminine within us, but those feminine wounds sometimes need to be triggered by a feminine and can't be triggered by a masculine, or whatever that embodiment is in that individual. And so, sorry, got a little lost there because I'm getting downloads right now as I'm talking about this. So anyway, so honoring that this person came in and is showing you something. They are illuminating an aspect of you, because now that you see it, you have an opportunity to release it. And the way the energies are working right now is the release doesn't have to be anything crazy. So for me, the way that I alchemize the traumas and the triggers that really helps has been journaling, is talking to the person that induced the trauma or the event, and talking to it from a space of love and honor. And it's so hard to do. Don't get me, or understand that, when it comes down to extreme trauma, like, someone killing a friend of yours, rape, things like that, it's extremely hard to do. And I also want to say too that if you are I don't recommend anyone go into the shadow work without someone there properly holding space for them, that is either a professional or well versed in things like trauma informed care, and being able to kind of talk someone off the ledge. Because if you start to relive this trauma and you're isolated and you're by yourself and you're vulnerable, it can lead to a dark place. And so the shadow work, when it comes to trauma, is not something that should be taken lightly. And you should be either extremely strong in where you're at as an individual, or make sure that there's someone that can comfortably hold space for you to let that stuff up. So just a little forewarning. But in the shadow work and meeting, reliving that event and then talking to it like it's an individual, you will notice where this thing is held in your body, and the emotions will start to come to the surface. And the most beautiful thing is like writing out a letter. And I told this to someone I was coaching the other day. She was running into she ran into an experience with a deceased loved one that had done something and wanted closure. And this is something that I've done and I love to do, is write a letter to that individual if they're passed on, tie it to a balloon, and release the balloon into the sky. There's something so cathartic about literally releasing that, like opening your hand up and going, I'm letting this go, and then just giving it to the universe and watching it go to the heavens is really beautiful. Or write the letter and burn it, depending on what you want to do with it. There are many ways to be able to do this. And that release and that letting go helps to kind of put closure to the situation. And I've noticed karmic contracts end as a result of that, because basically what you're stating to the universe is, I now understand why all of this happened, and I'm grateful for the learning lesson. And so, sometimes these scenes will pop up because it's showing you everything that you don't want in a situation. So, like for relationships, there's, the closer and closer I've gotten to finding my divine partner, I recognize the buildup of these cycles of relationships that happened, because I had these relationships that unfolded that were very triggering. They were just, it was very unfavorable. And at the time, I'm like, universe, why is this happening? But it's because what it gave me the opportunity to was, every person that I had met showed me a little bit more of what I wanted, but then showed me also what I didn't want in a relationship as well. And because of that, I didn't let it say that that's it, I'm forever lonely, and back me into a corner. It propelled me into the checklist of do's and don'ts and wants and don't wants. So then when that partner did step in, I could say, this is what I want, and this person is embodying everything that I'm seeking. And that's the other way of being able to break these trauma cycles, because when we look at the law of attraction, we look at we become a vibrational match to whatever is going to be brought into our reality. And so if I'm on a trauma cycle where I get hurt and I don't heal, and I stay in that pain, poor me, pity zone, which, once again, from someone who's experienced a lot of crap in life, not compared to some other people, but has experienced a lot of crap in life and still struggles with this, it is hard to break that cycle. But what will happen is, when we get stuck in the trauma cycle, if my mind is focused on the trauma, the pain, all of that stuff, what happens then is I start to vibrate at that. And if I don't choose the healing route, if I don't choose to alchemize the situation, I'm back in it. I'm now vibrating at the level of trauma, and I bring in more trauma. It's messed up. Okay. This is probably the one fault that I see in the universal law with the law of attraction. Because what it was meant to do was, like, if we wanted love, it would show us all of the most unfavorable love to push us closer to love. But we can get stuck because of societal conditioning, beliefs, and not looking at the healing, but masking the wound. What happens is, because we're masking the wound, we're still vibrating at that frequency, and we're thus recreating those cycles into our life. And this is where the healing journey now has really taken shape and fold, because people are recognizing that we can now genuinely heal these wounds, and we can break these cycles and these patterns. That's why these energy things are existing. That's why this ascension process is happening. Is it's changing. It's changing all of us in humanity, because when we break this programming, we can now start to have more healthier and more fulfilled lives, live with more universal love, more unity. And because of that, we're now able to honor a person for the differences between individuals, because they serve a purpose in the divine orchestration of the world, as we know it, that serves a vital part in the entire beauty that is this world right now. So, I wanted to touch on a few topics of just like basic alchemy when it comes down to trauma and triggers. There's a more extended process that I'm actually going to start to dive into. I'm looking into actually creating a course or a journal, like a kind of like a little worksheet on how to alchemize trauma. And in order to meet this stuff where it's at, and to see it from a new, fresh set of eyes. And I am trained, by the way, in trauma-informed care, and am trained in being able to hold space through the peer support model of recovery in order to help people face these kinds of things. So if you have experienced something and you need someone to energetically hold space and kind of talk you through to try to alchemize an experience, please contact me. It's something I love to do, and I can definitely see it from a different perspective, but also help you to find your own answers too. So I can't guarantee that it's going to work with every single situation, but I'm definitely willing to hold space and let you kind of come up with the answers yourself, and be able to meet these things in a safe environment, and just make sure that it's a healthy and therapeutic experience and is not going to put you into a deeper, darker hole. So, guys, that's all I've got for right now. I wanted to have a little talk about alchemy because it's something I'm really into. Not literally, I don't take lead and turn it into gold, but I like to take a negative situation and turn it into a positive. Um, because we're all just working with energy, and if this energy that is coming down to put us into a corner, we can neo matrix it and use it as fuel to push us forward into our destiny. It's very much so possible. It's something I've been doing for a while now. It's a practice every single day, with honoring and taking the higher road and the higher perspective when it comes down to life situations, which are going to vary from every individual, and especially with the chaos of people not knowing how to react to recent energies and the things we're about to face with, Mercury retrograde and the solar and lunar eclipse in July. We gotta be ready to alchemize what's going on, and recognize it for what it is, and take the learning lesson and keep moving forward so we can continue to grow and to expand and to evolve and to let things fall out of resonance, to let new things fall into resonance, because that's what's beautiful about this is the life cycles. If we look at fall, fall happens, the leaves have to fall, the leaves wither, die, fall from the tree for new leaves to sprout. It is a natural occurrence that happens in this world. And this is another way to alchemize these experiences, is that when these losses happen, it's because it's ushering room for things to come in. The void is where creation exists. So we need an empty bowl in order to fill up with water to create. So these things will exist while we're clearing, losing friendships, trauma patterns that are and people triggering things for us. What it is doing when you are releasing that stuff, it is creating space for the new to arrive. And so I want you guys to keep focus on that it gets better. I've been doing such like a radical shift in clearing over the past month and a half. Thank you to my beautiful partner who has been, clearing the crap out of me recently, with energy work, and me doing my thing with my clearings and letting these things come to the surface. It's been hard, but it's so worth it, because I know it's everything that I want, and it's turning me into the badass light warrior that I'm meant to be, in order to help another individual too. To be of service and to hold space and let people know, like, hey, I walked through maybe something similar. I walked through a dark time too, but I got out of it, and I got out of it stronger with my head held high. And I'm able to talk about it today, and be real and be vulnerable and be able to show that it's okay, that we're gonna be okay, and we're gonna make it out alive, and we're gonna be better people as a result of it. So, guys, much love and respect to everybody out in the webverse. I'm going to start a manifestation meditation group. I'm trying to figure out what day of the week I'm going to start it. I'm going to go live here on YouTube with it. Basically, the only rules is you got to be loving, kind, and compassionate. You got to hold space, and we're going to be doing 3 intentions. So a personal intention for the week, an intention for a loved one, another individual, and also an intention for humanity. And the idea is that we all share our intentions, so then we can kind of get a pendulum of good positive energy going to kind of build it up to release it. But then too, to give other people the opportunity to speak your intention in their voice, and to call that to the universe to usher it in faster. So it's something I wanted to start doing for free, live on YouTube. I'm thinking about doing it Mondays. I'm not sure though yet, so I will update people with that. So check back, because I'm going to be going live on YouTube with that. Also too, I wanted to pitch, so my partner, Samantha Rodriguez, she's got group clearing sessions that she does probably 2 or 3 times a week, where we go in and she does free group clearing sessions. Like, it's free energy healing, guys. It's awesome. And so I'm going to have her link up there so you can sign up for those group clearing sessions. Come in, check it out. I'm always in there. I'm the cheerleader. I'm the guy that kind of holds space and interacts with people while she does her clearing. I'm actually working on doing a manifestation group with her too, where she will be providing clearings for people while and removing blocks for us manifesting while we're setting intentions and kind of doing a group thing. Her and I are partnering up with some business stuff. And also too, if you sign up for a personal session with her, which she's an amazing, amazing energy worker. This woman does not get enough credit for how amazing she is. She completely changed my entire life. Actually, my first clearing session with her was back in December. The next day after a clearing session with her, I started this YouTube channel. So, and my life has gotten better ever since she started to remove these blocks and identify triggers, identify so many things. She can do past life block clearing, family karma. I mean, she can even do pet readings. She can talk to your pet, psychically connect to your pet and get messages for you. She's so well versed, and I wanted to put this out here to try to get some more clients her way, and to show that she's got such awesome services, and you guys should go check her out. So anyways, I'll be posting her link in my description box for her website to be able to sign up for those group clearing sessions. And if you sign up for her personal sessions, you get a free Reiki session with me. So how cool is that? You're gonna get, and she's also got a bunch of like free meditations and gifts she's giving out as well, because we're both trying to do a physical union thing, trying to come together, and so we're kind of partnering with services and amplifying that energy in order to meet and to continue the mission work as it is meant to go. And another thing too is my appointed calendar is up. I've got Reiki sessions. I'm offering free chakra diagnostics. So it's a 15-minute session. You call me up, I'm going to check your chakras. I'm going to let you know where there's blocks, where things are out of alignment, and I'll do a quick tune-up. I will quickly throw some Reiki in those chakras, just kind of introduce you to how I do things, see if you like it, and see if this is something you want to continue in order to keep the sessions going. Because usually for me, when I do Reiki, when I started to do Reiki, I was doing 2 sessions a month to kind of keep things flowing, because these energy sessions, sometimes it'll take a few times to get everything aligned accordingly and to let that energy work through you. Sometimes it just takes one Reiki session and you're solid. It's very for every individual. But my appointed calendar is wide open right now. I've got Reiki sessions. I'm doing hour Reiki, plus I'm doing the 15-minute chakra diagnostic checkup. I'm also doing donation Reiki too. So if anyone just wants a Reiki session and wants to donate, go ahead and do that. I can do a 15-minute or 30-minute Reiki session for a donation as well. So that's it. Also check out my website, thoughtsoldiers.com. I do personal light language activations for people, personal guided meditations. I'm also really good with clearing limiting beliefs. So I can do different guided meditation affirmation things catered to you in order to help live your best version and to start out on a new foot with a new way of life for yourself. I didn't want to put this much of a promoting of my services on here, but business has really died down, and I don't really have a following on Instagram or anything like that, and it's time to put that out there. It's something I don't like to promote a whole lot, but I want to do this full time, and I really don't like technology, and I don't like social media marketing because of where it's gone, but I need to clear and transmute all of that right now because it's time to step in my role. So anyways, guys, much love and respect to everybody. There's a little rundown, a little discussion of Alchemy too. Also check forward, there's going to be some courses coming up soon, where I am going to be teaching some classes, as well as Samantha's going to be teaching classes too. She's got 5 classes she's preparing. One is on intuition, one is on energy in the body that's being held, a manifestation workshop, and she's got 2 others as well. So you'll be seeing me promoting her services on here because I am a big fan of hers. I was a fan of hers before we came into union, and I'm still a fan. This woman has changed my life, and I'm forever grateful for her and all of the services she provides. So anyways, that's it, guys. Hope everyone's having an awesome weekend. Happy Sunday to everybody. It's been great. We're leveling up. We're doing the thing. Remember to eat, to play, and to love. That is the ingredient for success right now. Eat, play, love. That's all you got to do. Let the rest work itself out. So once again, much love and respect to everybody out there, and I'll see you on the other side. Namaste.